Well, hello, my YouTube fellows and gals. So today, if you're new to my channel, my name is Tammy. I own a used bookstore. If you don't buy books off me, that's okay too. You can use my channel as a resource to go find yourself some old new books, some fun books to read, because I change up the genres and I read the synopsises. And I try to do 10 books per video. So today we are on lot 17. They're $3 each, and these will be hardbacks, and these are romances. Everything will be in the description below. If you don't know where the description is, you hit that little arrow to the right hand side and you get a drop down so you can find out everything. And I do ship media mail if you do buy from me, so you get your cheapest shipping. So with that being said, we are on book number 1. This is called The Kane Mutiny, a novel of World War II by the author of Aurora Dawn, Herman Wouk. I think it's how you pronounce his name. Really nice inside. It's a cute little anchor on there. How cute is that book? And this is a 1951, and this is what it is about. The Canine Mutiny is a Sea Yarn Plus. It is a full, colorful novel of 2 main stands. One is the story of Willie Keith. The other is a strange triangle on the old destroyer minesweeper Caine, which results in an almost incredible fact of mutiny aboard a United States Navy ship in World War II. Willie Keith, through whose eyes the reader sees the Canine Mutiny, starts out as a careless, good-humored Princeton boy and ends as the grim and battered captain of the Caine. The story of his growing up is dramatized in his long love affair with May Wynn, who scrapes a living as a singer in the lower reaches of the Broadway nightclub world. The triangle on the Caine consists of Captain Quigg, a half-comic, half-tragic petty tyrant, his executive officer, Lieutenant Mark, an excellent naval officer, but beyond his depth, an intense and frightening situation that develops on the minesweeper, and the third in command, Lieutenant Kiefer, an embittered, witty intellectual who sparks the revolt, paralleling the experience of a confident young man entering the military life, a novel that starts in a humorous and romantic vein when Willie Keith comes aboard the battle-scarred tramp called the Caine, and the tone begins to deepen and lends to broaden. Tremendous scenes follow. The mounting tension on board ship prepares to go into the Quiligan invasion. The wild panorama of the typhoon of the Philippines in December of 1944 at the height of mutiny takes place, and the court-martial of Mark, which follows and which turns into the testimony of Willie Keith. Presenting the reader a surface of swift, vigorous entertainment, the Kane Mutiny also contains a searching and direct comment on the basic problems of discipline, command, and civilian armed forces of a free country. It is, let's see, but this is left for the reader to complete to his own mind after he has enjoyed the comedy and the long, thrilling drama and the moving love story, which are the main elements of the structure. So that's why it is considered a romance. So there you go, book 1. Book number 2. We have The Convenient Groom. It's a Nantucket love story by Denise Hunter. That's what the book looks like. It is a 2008 copyright. This is what it's about. 5 hours before her Nantucket beach wedding and on the eve of her big book launch, celebrity marriage counselor Kate Lawrence has everything in place. Everything that is but the groom. She might not have a career either when her nationwide audience finds out her marriage guru has been left at the altar. Enter Lucas Wright, who offers to stand in for the missing husband-to-be and marry her. Kate's desperate enough to agree, though she's sure Mr. Wright is completely wrong for her, but can they pull it off? And why would Lucas marry her in the first place? Could it be that Dr. Kate doesn't know the first thing about love? Dennis Hunter paints an inspiring tale of enduring love set in a romantic Nantucket. That sounds so cute. Look at that wedding dress. Pretty, pretty. So there's number 2. Book number 3. We have Window on the Square by Phyllis A. Whitney. This does not have a jacket, just the cover of the book. You can tell it's old. See all this goodness? This is actually a 1962 copyright. You see some writing there. You see some foxing going on the edge of the pages a little bit where it gets that brownish look color. And this is what, well, let me find out what it's about. Usually I have a little thing in here, but I must not have put one in this one for some reason. Huh. That is strange. I don't have a synopsis to give you on this one. So, that is so strange because usually I stick a little insert in there. So, you know what we're going to do? We're going to do something a little different. We're going to take this book, okay? This is a good way to do this if you can't find out what a book is about. Go to goodreads.com, which is a really great site to learn stuff. Let's see, Windows. On the Square by Phyllis A. Whitney. Okay, here we go. Or you can find it on googlebooks.com. So this is what this is about. Wait a second here. Well, sometimes you get it. Okay. The heroine of The Window on the Square is Megan Kincaid, an orphan. She said her father died in the fighting Shiloh 10 or more years ago. The Battle of Shiloh took place on April 6th or the 7th through 1862, which gives us an approximate date for this novel. Megan isn't the... It says... which takes place roughly October through early January. Megan lost her mother and developmentally disabled brother on the hooves of a runaway horse only months later. Megan isn't the dressmaker her mother was. Her mother's business is failing, so Megan accepts an offer to care for an apparently disturbed boy, Jeremy Reed. She's hired by Brandon Reed, Jeremy's uncle, who married his brother's widow, the beautiful Leslie. Leslie is not in favor of the plan, neither is the governess. Thora Garth, who openly favors Selena, Jeremy's younger sister. Leslie does too. Even the children's tutor, Andrew Beach, thinks Megan is in over her head. Megan strives to win Jeremy's trust, but is she sure the boy isn't as bad as he's being told? The unfair way Jeremy is being treated makes Megan angry. She doesn't know what to make of Brandon Reed. She's seen the openly adoring way he treats Leslie, so why is he troubling himself to be friendly to a merely pretty woman such as herself? Jeremy seems to have a morbid interest in the scene of the accident in which his father was killed. If it had been an accident, there's a lot of rumor venom being slung around the Reed house. Megan doesn't know what to believe, except that she's on Jeremy's side. Unfortunately, Megan's partisanship has made her very open enemy and less open one. Someone is determined to get Megan out of the house. Will there be another not so accidental death? So there you go. It's kind of like a mystery, but romance too. How interesting is that? So that's pretty cool. So anyway, there you have it. Book number 3. Sorry I didn't have the synopsis in there. Book number 4 is called Rest and Be Thankful. This is a 1949 by Helen MacInnes. You can tell that's age. Look at that. Woo! This one has one. Rest and be thankful. Okay. Rest and be thankful is the name given to a green island sheltering between the forks of Crazy Creek High and the Wyoming hills. Here in the pioneer days, wagon trains coming over to Stony Trail halted before they continued westward. Here in the early summer of 1948 came two friends having wandered off the state highway they had intended to follow to California. Mrs. Margaret Peel and Miss Sarah Bly had traveled a long way from France, longer still from the salons of pre-war Paris, but via New York, they brought with them their habit of fostering young literary hopefuls. So, having tumbled upon their island in Wyoming, they wanted to share it. Subsequent arrivals at Rest and Be Thankful included a noted critic, Prender Atherton Jones, an uninvited, embarrassingly successful author, and assorted authors in embryo. The story lies in the varied reactions of the Easterners when they were confronted not only by the scenic grandeurs of the West, but by the gentle frankness of their neighbors, the owner and cowboys of Flying Tail Ranch. For Margaret Reed, Rest and Be Thankful is a place where it no longer seems important to hide one's past. For Sarah Soon Sally Bly, Rest and Be Thankful means freedom to love and live again. And for Jim Brent, who had owned the island as well as the ranch, the coming of strangers meant no rest for a cowboy, certainly, but great cost for thankfulness in the end. So that sounds like an interesting book. It's got a pretty picture on it. So if anybody is even interested in turning this into a journal, this would be a cute one. Okay. So there's 4. Book number 5, we have Winterwood by Dorothy Eden. And I do show the covers of the books because sometimes under the jackets you have to pay attention. Like there's some foxing here. Sometimes they get mold. And those ones I have to get rid of. So this is 1967. Year I was born. I'm old. And this is what the book's about. Pursued by memories of the scandalous trial that rocked London society and resulted in her temporary imprisonment, Lavinia Hearst has escaped penniless to Venice, where she becomes acquainted with the MacInnes Daniel, the disturbingly handsome head of the family, to whom she's immediately drawn, his vicious wife Charlotte, their daughter Flora, crippled by a tragic accident, and Lady Tamison, Charlotte's great-aunt, an ancient woman of enormous wealth who is obviously near death. Because Flora, a deeply troubled child, takes to Laviana, Daniel Marion employs her as his daughter's companion and takes her back with them to Winterwood, the family's lonely, isolated estate in England. Day by ominous day, Lavina's apprehension grows both about Charlotte's evil scheming and about the attention of Jonathan Pete, Charlotte's sinister nephew, who hints that he knows Lavina's secret and may use it to force her to marry him. When the dying Lady Tamison alters her will, disinheriting Charlotte and making Flora her heiress, Lavinia is terrified. Now, not only her future and her relationship with Daniel, but the life of the young girl she has come to love are in jeopardy. Surrounded by evil, struggling to protect Flora from her ruthless mother, fearing exposure and loss of Daniel's love, Lavinia is on the point of despair when a series of letters in the deceased Lady Tamison's hand begin to arrive from Venice, terrorizing Charlotte and Jonathan Pete, who is responsible for the letters. And how will Daniel react to Lavinia's secret be disclosed so expertly that Dorothy Eden crafted her taut and harrowing story that the reader is entirely in suspense until the last page is turned. So there you have it. Oh, who done it? So there is number 5. Book number 6, one of my favorite authors and movie people out of his books, is Nicholas Sparks' Dear John. It's even got horses on it. You know I love my horses. So there's what the book looks like. This is a 2006 copyright. This is what it's about. When Savannah Lynn Curtis comes into his life, John Tyree knows he is ready to turn over a new leaf. An angry rebel, he had enlisted in the army after high school, not knowing what else to do. Then during a furlough, he meets the girl of his dreams. Savannah Lynn Curtis is attending college in North Carolina, working for Habitat for Humanity and totally unprepared for the passionate attraction she feels for John. The attraction is mutual and quickly grows in that kind of love that leads Savannah vowing to wait for John while he finishes his tour of duty, and John realizing that he's ready to settle down with the young woman who's captured his heart. Neither can foresee that 9/11 is about to change the world and will force John to risk every hope and dream he ever had. Like so many proud men and women, John must choose between loving country, and like those left behind, Savannah must wait or move on. How do we choose wisely? How can we face loss without giving up on love? Now, when he finally returns to North Carolina, John will discover that loving Savannah will force him to make the hardest decision of his life. So there you go. Good book, good show. So that's 6. Book number 7, we have Baker Towers by Jennifer Haigh. That's what the book looks like. It is a 2005 copyright, and this is what the book is about. Bakertown is a company town built on coal, a town of church festivals and ethnic neighborhoods, hunters' breakfast, and firemen's parades. Its children are raised in company houses, 3 rooms upstairs, 3 rooms downstairs. Its ball club leads the Coal Company League. The 12 Baker mines offer good union jobs, and the looming black piles of mine dirt don't bother anyone. Called Baker Towers, they are local landmarks, clear evidence that the mines are booming. Baker Tower means good wages and meat on the table, 2 weeks paid vacation, and presents under the Christmas tree. The mines were not named for Bakertown. Bakertown was named for the mines. This is an important distinction, explains the order of things. Born and raised in Bakertown's Polish Hill, the 5 Novak children come of age during wartime, a thrilling era when the world seems on the verge of changing forever. The oldest, Georgie, serves on a minesweeper in the South Pacific and glimpses life beyond Bakertown. A promising future he is determined to secure at all costs. His sister Dorothy, a fragile beauty, takes a job in Washington, D.C., and finds she's unprepared for city life. A brilliant Joyce longs to devote herself to something of consequence, but instead becomes the family's keystone, bitterly aware of the opportunities she might have elsewhere. Sandy sails through life on looks and charms, and Lucy, the volatile baby, devours the family's attention and develops a bottomless appetite for love. Bakertown is a family saga and a love story, a hymn to a time and place long gone, to America's industrial past and the men and women we now call the greatest generation. This is the feat of imagination from an extraordinary new voice in American fiction, a writer of enormous power and skill. So there you go. Book 7. Book number 8, we have From the Fields of Gold by Alexandra Ripley. Some marker down here. This is a 1994 copyright. You could tell there was something there. Little writing there. Definitely was library bound. This is what it's about. Francesca Chess Standish is born into the extravagant wealth of antebellum Tidewater, Virginia. It is a world of feasting and hunting and dancing, of softly walking slaves who gratify every need. Then the Civil War brings in the sudden violent end. 15 years later, Chess Standish is too tall, thin, and poor, and an aging spinster. Young North Carolina farmer Nate Richardson has land-driving ambition and a secret obsession for bewitching devious women who become his brother's wife. He arrives at a crumbling Standish plantation determined to obtain the patent for a machine that can deliver his dream of earning a fortune in the tobacco business. Nate excites and frightens Chess. She senses that he is a man capable of destroying anything and anyone who gets in his way, but even so, she wants him. She proposes an unconventional bargain. She will give Nate Richardson her rights to the machine if he marries her, making her his partner in the business, and she hopes in bed. Waiting for the newly married, gently bred Chess is a different South. The raw, harsh world of tobacco with its deals, double dealing, and cutthroat rivalries, struggling at her husband's side to survive. Chess realized that even if she cannot make Nate desire her, she can make him need her as a business partner. As Nate's rising tobacco empire sweeps the chest to the top of American and British society at the turn of the century, she would begin an odyssey of discovering about her own sexuality. Aimed at upper class games of flirtation and liaisons, Chess grows into a confident, powerful woman facing many challenges and for the first time the opportunity to merge completely passionately with a lover. The risk is losing her life with Nate for another man, one who knows how to awaken her body and yet may not want her heart. Like Scarlet, Chess is a woman to be reckoned with and a woman to be loved. So that sounds really intense. So there is book 8. Book number 9. We have A Small Town in Germany by John Le Carre. This is a 1968 copyright. That's what the book looks like. And this is what it's about. Sound like kickish. That's what the book look like. Okay. The scene is Bonn, a small provincial town elevated by the Cold War to artificial status of the capital city. The protagonists are British diplomats, their wives and aspiring German politicians. The time is the recent future. While the Foreign Office is locked in last desperate battle to enter the common market, while the new Germany is being carried away on the rising tide of student bourgeois nationalism, an aging second secretary has vanished from the British embassy. His name is Leo Harding. A sprite weightless as the dark, he has taken with him apparently official files whose disclosure will ruin Britain's chances at the negotiating table. Alan Turner, a tough investigator from London, is sent to find him. Through Turner's clear eye and puzzled heart, we now pursue Leo Harding's past. Through Turner, we meet the institutions which employed and rejected him, the women and men who loved, trusted, or despised him. We meet the hunter and his quarry. And as the tensions gradually mounts, we glimpse the pathos, comedy, and occasional debility of British community, no longer strong enough to sustain its own heritage or resist its own history. So there you go. Like a historical type book. And number 10, which is the last book, we have The Far Country by Nevil Shute. That's what the book looks like. It is a 1952 book, and this is what it's about. Jennifer Morton was 24 years old, an auburn-haired, gray-eyed refugee from the dry monotony of post-war London. From the moment she arrived in the luminous Australian summer, she was captivated by the beauty and vitality of this new country. Her Australian relatives, who made the trip possible, welcomed her warmly and wanted her to stay. Quite unexpectedly, Jennifer met a man who made her want the same thing. He was Karl Zlinter, an educated Czechoslovakian working in the lumber camps of Victoria. Though Karl had been a surgeon in Europe, he was not allowed to practice medicine in Australia, but there was an accident at the lumber camp where he worked, and the lives of 2 men depended on his skill as a doctor. Jennifer took on the improvised role of nurse and worked side by side with him, and as he risked his future, she left part of her own past behind. This meeting was the start of an idyllic period for Karl and Jennifer. Each was already in love with the country. Now they could share its wonders with each other, but just as their friendship ripened into love, news from England brought grave complications and their happiness seemed doomed. Nevil Shute tells this story of Karl and Jennifer and their different worlds with warmth and understanding, and his affection for the people of his creation is equaled by the immense delight which he himself feels for the pioneer country in which most of the novel is set, the country in which he now makes his own. The result is an invigorating and impassioned book written from the heart with all the tenderness and humanity that have made Nevil Shute one of the most beloved storytellers of our generation. So there you go. All 10 books. So with that, you can find out all the information below. Come and say hi to my comment section. Don't forget, I'm also running a giveaway. See if you know a kid that needs something, you can enter. So with that, whatever time zone you're in, I hope you're having a great one. I'll see you soon. Bye.